And we are live. Hello, everybody on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube land for this Facebook Live that I will be doing with Rachel Brain. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, how are you? I'm going to turn my phone off, otherwise you'll hear bleep, 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 bleep.
That's
Hello,
it.
how are you? This was an impromptu live, and the reason I asked you to do the live with me is I had talked to someone I just met. Her name is Kirsten Ann. Hey, Kirsten Ann, and she lives in Spain, and she is what we affectionately call X-Men. What the heck is an X-Men is the name of this live. What the heck is an X-Men? And she talked to me about before she had the X-Men information, that she would get lost in what she was aware of, and she had no way of knowing what was her reality and what was true for her. And so, what the heck is X-Men, Troy? What the heck is X-Men all about?
Hmm. I would say X-Men are people that are highly sensitive
Yeah,
to and aware of other people's
yeah.
point of views, other people's realities, other people's limitations in a degree they actually think it's them. And
Totally.
unfortunately, there is no education that I personally came across around the world before Access Consciousness about how I do function. And I was highly aware of other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and I thought it was me, and I would make myself wrong, or actually, like there would be a sense of wrongness in my world that was so familiar, and I would constantly try to get out of that wrongness. And I had the point of view that if I judge myself correctly, or if I judge myself rightly, or if I choose the right things, like that would give me freedom from the wrongness. But actually it didn't. It just take me to the other side of the coin, which was trying to get it right, because I had just a deep point of view that I was dynamically wrong, and I get like X-Men
What's
are the
wrong with me? What's wrong
exactly.
with what let me find out what is wrong with me, because once I find out what is wrong with me, then I will actually be okay and I will be right, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you so much for talking about picking up on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. For me, X-Men are they're like a giant radio tower. And they'll perceive other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, even if it's like 3,000 miles away, you know? They have this incredible ability to be energetically aware of what's going on in our world. You know, they'll be aware of certain energies in certain countries, they'll be aware of past, present, and future. And so the thing about it is there is no definition, there is no defined what is an X-Men. What I would say, it's any type of neurodivergence, which is a different way of thinking, a different way of processing information. And I would say for me, I am highly aware of judgment, and judgment is anything that makes something this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. And one of the areas that wasn't working for me, X-Men are born without judgment, was that if I was judging myself and if I was making myself wrong, it created a level of compression and smallness where it actually created hurt and pain in my body. And so, one of the big things for me that I require is a lot of space, and I take in information in a no judgment space. I don't. Do you take in information when there's judgment in your environment?
I would say like I can memorize the information for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable. It actually doesn't stay there. And especially with learning, like one of the difficulties that I have if somebody's trying to like teach me something, just a specific information, and if they don't give me the whole picture. And that was one of the things that I would ask, like when even I was in, I don't know exactly what it's called, like first grade, second grade, third grade. Like I would always look at, okay, like where I'm going to use this information. Like, why are you telling me this information? And the other person was like, oh, like it's not relevant why I'm telling this information. You just try to have it. And
For what? Yeah.
exactly. And that was always be my point of view, like where I'm going to use this, where I'm going to apply this information into my life. And once I actually have that information, the information seems to stick with me for so long. And so I get to learn it with so much more ease
Yeah.
and actually so much more enthusiasm.
Totally. And that's huge for people that's watching. One of the things that I'm hearing from a lot of parents right now, I just talked to a lady tonight she did a body class with me in Budapest. And hi, Dory. And she was saying her 7-year-old doesn't want to go to school. And this is because the environments are not conducive to what the requirement is. X-Men are very aware energetically of the future, and compression and judgment doesn't make any sense to them. And also, the information has to be usable and havable and applicable to their living. And thanks so much for what you said about if someone tried to teach you a section, like I'm not a linear learner. And in accounting, accounting is the tracking of money in, money out for business purposes or for your own financial purposes. And one of the things that there's this thing called depreciation, which is something will go down in value. And I remember being in school and they were teaching me this is going to go down in value. And I was like, why are you teaching me this? Like, why are you teaching me that you have to account for a car going down in value? But what it was is that it was so that the company could be aware of that something that they've bought is going to go down in value. So the bigger picture was the overall financials of the company, which I required. Give me the whole thing and then work backwards. Like
Yeah.
I can't learn in like put a pizza here, but I'm more like show me the whole pizza and then I'll bake the crust, I'll bake the cheese, I'll do the salami, the peppers, whatever. I can't do small bites. I've got to know the big picture and then learn that way. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to and that have the same, way of receiving information. And so we're not saying that like X-Men are better and people who think linearly are less, or X-Men are less, and people who think linearly are better. We're not saying whether you prefer structure or whether you're this out of form, out of structure, out of significance, you do way better when you have energetic choices and work with energy. We're given this information because most X-Men that I have met have dynamically made themselves wrong and they are suffering in pain due to taking on judgment, thinking the way others do, learning the way others do, when it simply just isn't their program or their way of learning.
And I would say like it's every area of our life, like
Oh
especially like one of the things like I really struggled with was the structures. And like even, and actually it was actually not even, it was a big part of the structure that I bought around food, like when you have to eat food, when you have to cook food, and what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. And I remember like us as a family like trying to catch up with all of these structures of, oh, like you have to eat breakfast, then you have to eat lunch, and then you have to eat dinner. And like there will be a constant state of like trying to catch up with a structure. And what I mean by a structure is something that is put in place and it's not changeable, it's not malleable, it's just this is the way it is and this is what we're going to do.
and
And
this is the only way, and this is the form that we do it by, and you're not supposed to do anything else other than this, you
yeah,
know.
and instead of asking, oh, like, do I like to eat something this morning, or do I just want to drink something? Maybe I'm actually gonna skip this meal, or looking at, okay, like what would be ease here? And that was one of the things that I personally loved with the tools of access consciousness, which is following the energy and following what lights you up, what is ease for you, like what brings a sense of expansion instead of a compression,
Compression.
going, oh, like now I come from work and I'm actually tired, and like now I have to cook, instead of looking at, oh, maybe can I like do something different here, like actually can I eat some nuts, or maybe like do something that's more easier, which is, instead of going, oh, like now I have to cook a full meal. And
It's so funny. It's so funny you're talking about food. I did a private session a couple of days ago with a lady who I adore. And she was telling me she had this massive resistance and reaction to food, and it didn't matter, you know.
hmm,
And what actually occurred was that when there was mealtime in our house, there was so much compression, levels of compression and control, the way it had to be. Her mother would be getting stressed out. Her dad would be tired, come home from work, angry. And she said mealtimes were a nightmare in their house, you know? And
hmm,
so energetically, then the X-Men connects that to, well, that's food. You know, I did the same thing with food. I had a lot of unconsciousness around food. And so here she is, like, however many years later. And when it comes to food, her coping mechanism now is it's not relevant. I'll just eat anything to take away the hunger, you know? And I've seen so many people that they counteract stress, you know, by dismissing what they're aware of. And like, it's such an energetic universe. And the amount of people
hmm.
the amount of X-Men that I've worked with, that the way they're living is like, whose life is not their point of view at all. It was an energetic conclusion that they decided something meant, you know. They put it, if you're an X-Men and you define something, then all you can have is that definition. You can't have energetically what works for you, you know, with food. And so funny, my kids, when they were younger, they're way older now, they'd love a day where I would just make like ham sandwiches with cheese, toasties, and we just like get some crisps, and they'd blankets and watch movies. And now I recognized that I was trying to get it right food, and they would perceive that stress in my world. And for them, there was no fun when you have these compression levels in regard to structure. This is what we
And it's
should.
not fun for you either. It's like when
Oh,
you go,
no,
oh, like now I have
absolutely.
to get it right, and like I have to make something healthy, or I have to do this, and instead of really starting to ask one of my favorite question, which is, what is going to work here?
I love that question. What is going to work? It's very pragmatic. And when X-Men have their own reality, their own awareness, what's true for them, it's a very easy way. I'm going to say for me, I have a lot of ease now. Like, I grew up like around so much drama, and every time like another bomb and another problem and another problem. And all the havoc was, you know, in behind all the havoc was this beautiful ability to work with energy and to have ease, joy, and glory, you know. And
Hmm.
so I know for me, one of the energies with my special abilities, you know, one of the energies that I require is a lot of peace and a lot of space. And my body's even responding to that, you know. And so we just wanted to pop on tonight to give you some education in what the heck is X-Men. They are actually a mutation of our species, so a different way of functioning in our species. And X-Men are extremely connected to the Earth and to the planet, you know, and
Hmm.
they're highly aware. And then the question is, you know, what can you be to support them to have their difference, to show their difference and celebrate the difference? Whereas most X-Men that I meet, they've been told to fit into the normal, average, and real. This is how we do this. And essentially, what you're saying to them is they're wrong for being different, and they should be something that they're not. They're the two things. When you try to fit them into learning a particular way, into the form and structure of this is how it's supposed to be, you actually hide the beauty of their difference. And so, one of the things that I'm into is supporting people to have their difference and celebrate their abilities and capacities, and be, instead of like everyone be normal and average and real, where nobody shows up, has the courage to show up as the difference they are. It's actually, how much fun would it be if people showed up as who they be?
Yeah. And what is the gift of your difference that you haven't acknowledged?
I
And
think we won't even, like, for me, it's easy for me to talk about it now after doing years of facilitation of X-Men, but I wouldn't even allow myself have my gift, because my point of view is I'm wrong, and I'm not even going to explore this difference, until it just got so painful to try and fit in a square, what is it, a square peg in a round hole, or a round hole in a square peg. And it got so painful to fit in that it was like my body was compressing. And then it's so funny, once I choose me and being me and not shutting me down and having all my differences, having my like super ADD, and I go from one project to the next project and this conversation to another conversation over here, And once I'm in allowance of all that, my life works. My life works and I'm happy.
yeah. And like what would it take for everybody that listening that actually do know that they are different and actually would like to not go into the wrongness of yourself, but actually really starting to ask what is right about this? Like, if I
Yeah.
was not making this difference wrong, like what would it take for me to actually celebrate this? Like, what
Mm.
gift this is that I haven't yet acknowledged, and that is the gift, in my personal point of view, that the world requires for more of the people to be, for us to actually do have a sustainable future.
Totally.
And when you are being you, like when you are being the difference that you are, and actually enjoying it,
Mm.
that is one of the greatest gifts that you can be to the planet Earth and actually everybody around you. Because when you are not making you wrong and your difference wrong, then people actually go, oh, like there's actually a person that is choosing to be happy. They are not going into stress when everybody else is. So maybe I don't have to go into stress either.
And I would say that was one of the areas that I made myself so wrong, is that other people would have a point of view about this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And I would be like, do, just going about in my happy little happy land. And
Hmm.
and I made that so wrong. And now it's like, what if everything you think is wrong about you is a wrongness, is a strongness? And I guess you gotta explore and lean into, you can't close the door and everything that's wrong in there. You gotta open the door and pick out something that you think is wrong, and then you see the beauty and the capacity and the ability in it. And you'll see, like, it's, for me, it's about like developing the abilities and capacities, and really finding out more about myself and the way I work and the way that I can thrive, not shutting off a part of myself, like cutting off all your arms and legs to fit in. Yeah.
Yeah. And it take time, like for me, like actually,
Bring courage.
yeah, courage, time, and work, and usage of the tools. Like I been exploring the tools like 8 years now, and I'm gonna
Try
say,
the access consciousness tools.
yeah, tools of access consciousness for 8 years now, and like it took me like years to actually go and look at the places that I decided that I was wrong, as a strongness, and actually receiving that and having that. And like here I get, we're just want to invite you to actually just know there is a different possibility available for you if you're making yourself dynamic wrong, or if everybody else around you is making you dynamically wrong in a certain area, that you can actually explore something different and actually have that without making you wrong.
Totally. And it's okay to be different, and it's okay to not fit in. And what would it take for you to enjoy your difference? Different, not less. Beautiful. Thanks for coming on and having a conversation on a Tuesday night later than what we usually come on and do lives. And
Mm.
we hope this contributes to you. And there's a beautiful book. It's called Would You Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree? I usually have it sitting on my desk, but I think I was reading it downstairs today. Would you teach a fish to climb a tree? And in the book, Einstein says, there's a quote from Einstein. What is it? Everybody's a genius, but if you teach a fish to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life thinking it's stupid. And that was me before the X-Men tools.
Mm.
Everybody is a genius, but if you teach a fish to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life thinking it's stupid trying to climb a tree when you do much greater swimming in the water, you know.
Mm.
Beautiful. What a beautiful life. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We hope this contributed to you. And if you're interested in any of the X-Men classes, accessconsciousness.com/X-Men, I think it is. If not, we'll put the link in underneath our live. Thank you so much, Troy.
Hey, thank you so much. And thanks so much, everybody watching this. I hope this contributes to you. And Kristen said, you're both such an inspiration. I adore you. And we're very grateful.
Oh,
And we adore you too.
is that Christine in Canada? I can't see the comment.
Christine Mendes.
Oh, we love you, Christine. And so
Mm.
we have people. One of the things that I love about X-Men is the way they engage with each other and the way that we just show up as us and how much we actually adore people and the caring. So thank you so much, Christine. And how does it get any better than this? And what else is possible? These are Access Consciousness questions. You can use them and see what shows up. And is now the time to believe in you, and is now the time to have your difference and to stop judging you and being who you are.
Mm. Beautiful. Bye, everyone. Mm.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.